But Drew Hernandez is a strong-minded individual.
Exposing lawlessness.
Drew Hernandez, who is ideological.
Finding the truth.
And use the word Antifa.
This is what they do.
Battling
They're
mainstream
liars. The woke mob, all they can do is lie.
These are the front lines.
What's going on, thought criminals? Welcome to Frontlines. I am your host, Drew Hernandez. On this show, it's obvious that we push back on this globalist agenda, this demonic, satanic agenda that is coming from the top down, exposing the devil as much as we possibly can. Today, we have a very special and God-fearing woman, someone that is very special to me, that is someone that I consider a mentor. My career would be nowhere near where it's at if it were not for Lara Logan. She's been exposing the deep state and the agenda and the globalist agenda for years, for a very long time, and it's all going against us as human beings, also Americans. So stay tuned. Lara is joining us shortly to tell the full story of what happened with her. She's getting canceled by Newsmax. They cut ties with her for simply exposing the satanic globalist agenda. So stay with us. We're going to get into it. But before we get into it, I want to remind you to get your tickets to the greatest celebration of patriots in the country. America Fest is happening here in Phoenix, Arizona on December 17th through the 20th. There's an amazing lineup of speakers and concerts with more being announced soon. So use the QR code on your screen to get your tickets now. You do not want to miss this. My name is Drew Hernandez, and you are now on the front lines. Well, this has been trending in the news recently. Newsmax cut ties with Lara Logan after she said world leaders dine on the blood of children. I detect nothing wrong there, but for you guys to see for yourself, this was during an interview where she made this comment exposing some pretty satanic things on live TV, and now she's getting canceled for it. Take a look at the clip.
Is God okay with a closed border?
It's much bigger than that. God believes that in sovereignty and national identity and the sanctity of family and all the things that we've lived with from the beginning of time. And he knows that the open border is Satan's way of taking control of the world through all of these people who are his stooges and his servants. And they may think that they're going to become gods. That's what they tell us. Yuval Noah Harari and all the rest of them at the World Economic Forum. You know, the ones who want us eating insects, cockroaches, and that while they dine on the blood of children.
Yeah.
Those are the people, right? They're not going to win. They're not going to win.
Well,
That's what Newsmax is cutting ties from Lara Logan over. I detect nothing wrong there. There's a lot of Satanism going on across the globe with the globalism. But before we bring Lara in, I just want people to know, I got to say this. Lara Logan is someone very special to my heart, to my career. When I first got started, I had really no idea what I was doing. I was kind of on the ground exposing Antifa. And Lara is one of the first people to personally reach out to me and kind of like help me get grounded and take my life serious when it comes to my reporting. Help me get connected with a lot of stuff that I've been connected with behind the scenes. And I just want to let my audience know that without this woman right now, there would be no me. And I'm very grateful for that. And I know when she's getting attacked, it's kind of like I'm watching, you know, like my big sister or my mom getting attacked, and it pisses me off. So Lara Logan, thank you for being on my show. It is a true honor. It's great to see you.
Drew, I mean, I love you so much and I respect you so much. And I think we all owe you a debt of gratitude, you and the others, right, in the group who were out there on the streets with very little resources, with no one backing you, and who were just doing the right thing for all the right reasons. And because of you, we know what really happened with Kyle Rittenhouse. Because of you, we know what really happened to in many situations during the so-called summer of love, because you stuck with it. You had great instincts from the very beginning, but most of all, you had integrity, you know, and that and those are all the reasons. I mean, I was just there for you when I could be there, and I always will be. But honestly, you know, you did all the hard work, and you showed all the commitment, and you showed all the natural instincts of being a great reporter. So I'm very glad that I had the opportunity to support you, and I will always be there for you.
Laura,
Always.
it's an honor to even be considered. I mean, the amazing work that you've done around the world. That's why when I see this happening to you, and I think other people that have been following you for years, when they see this stuff, it kind of pisses people off. So walk me through this, Laura. Why is this happening? I mean, I hear that. I'm like, not, I don't hear anything wrong there. Take us through what happened with this interaction on Newsmax and why they're canceling it.
Well, the first and most important thing that I think I have to say is that it's just kind of funny to me that Newsmax would say they're canceling me, because I've been on Newsmax a total of 3 times on Eric Bolling's show. I don't have any ties with Newsmax to actually sever. So to me, it's just an act of desperation, right? I mean, if you are making a big statement and a big brouhaha about something that doesn't actually exist, I mean, that means that you're posturing. It's fake, right? And so I don't, I really appreciate the support, because I'm drowning in requests for shows, and people have been offering me my own show on all different kinds of platforms. And what I love about that is that it shows that number one, these tactics are not effective anymore. They just simply do not work. People know that hundreds of thousands of children go missing every year. People know that we're not being told the truth about it. People know that satanic sacrifices and rituals and blood sacrifices are real. They know that people are advertising the blood of children as the secret to reversing aging. It's all over the media, right? I mean, I'm not the first one to raise it. And they don't care. And this is what is very, very encouraging to me. For too long, we have put other considerations first. We have said, I'm more worried about what happens to me and holding on to my job and what people say about me and what people think about me than I am about the fact that children are disappearing in the custody of Child Protection Services. Their records are disappearing with them, and nobody says a word. We're just okay with that. We're okay with the fact that single mothers are targeted in family courts where they don't stand a chance, that traffickers work with the Child Protection Services, that they discredit these women, and they take their children from them. And by the way, a lot of them are minority mothers, right? Black mothers and Hispanic mothers. And I hate to divide by race, because I'm not one of those people. I don't believe in racism, never have. And I hate the way that they want us to focus on what divides and separates us instead of what unites us, because to me, all people are the same, and they always have been, and they always will be. No one can change that. So, I mean, I just find it extraordinary that these things are coming to light. I mean, I feel this momentum behind me that is spiritual. I mean, it really is spiritual, because it's when you know what has been happening to children on our watch, you only have one of 2 choices, right? You either do something about it or you don't. And I'm never going to be okay with doing nothing about it. I'm not going to be quiet about it. I am speaking to doctors and therapists who treat some of these children if they make it out of this abuse. I am speaking to people who've been on rescue operations. I'm speaking to people who've been involved in rescuing kids, since the 90s, right? I am speaking to people who've gone undercover. I mean, I'm speaking to all kinds of people, and I can promise you this: what I said on Newsmax is nothing compared to what's coming. And it'll be backed up by real by evidence, by videos and photographs and survivors and eyewitness accounts and firsthand reporting. It'll be exactly the same type of reporting I did at 60 Minutes. There'll be no difference in the standard of it. And that's what terrifies them. They just can't cancel me, because you can't cancel the truth.
Absolutely. And God is with us. You've always really emphasized that to me, is that God is with you through all of this. And I see that in everything I do. And I mean, for people to really understand, like, it's not like, just see it from this way, not you, Laura, but just like really think the viewers, right? Is look at what they're doing. Look at how they're advocating openly to mutilate the genitals of children on a daily basis in the mainstream media. We've been murdering babies by the tens of millions for decades, right? Literal murder inside of the womb. Now they want to advocate outside of the womb. There's this full force. I mean, they're advocating for maps, Laura, minor attracted persons, open pedophilia
Outrageous.
normalized, where they have these children not only dancing with, like stripping at these all age, kid friendly drag shows, but they have the kids stripping for the adults as well, or doing the drag shows,
Yeah,
right? So it's like,
outrageous.
look at what they're doing to the kids, Laura. You're absolutely right. And it goes even deeper. How deep does it really go, Laura?
Well, this is what I would say to you. What I care about is the children. If you're worried about going, whether someone's canceling you or not, what are your concerns? Are you concerned about what's happening to these children? Because there have been people in Hollywood. Look at John Paul Rice, right? He's an actor. No, not an actor. He's a Hollywood director who made the film. He was one of the people that made the film A Child's Voice. Why did no one in Hollywood want that film to be seen? Why did no one in Hollywood talk about A Child's Voice? And what about these young actors who go into Hollywood and then find themselves on the casting couch, whether it's, even, what was that? They had a channel that was all for kids. I know child actors who were working on that channel who talked about offers that were made to them, and as they were trying to suck them into this world. If you watch Mike Smith's film, Out of Shadows, there's a guy who was one of the top stuntsmen in Hollywood, and he gave up everything, right? He gave up absolutely everything to tell the truth, because he realized, late in the game, that he was surrounded by Satanism and satanic rituals and everything else. One of the guys he knew really well had human skulls on the shelf in his office. I mean, is that even legal? Where do you get these human skulls? And there is just, it's unacceptable, the levels of what we're talking about, right? It's unacceptable on any level, but I think it's risen to such a point when we have a local editor here of our local newspaper. His name is Ken Cook. This guy wants to make out that anyone who objects to the kind of thing that you're talking about, to the pornography or the very explicit sexual books that they want to have in the middle school and the high school, in small towns all across this country, never mind the cities, that this is a group of fringe lunatic parents. How outrageous is that? This psychotic lunatic has taken to writing editorials because he's the editor of the local paper. His son is the guy who pulled the Antifa permit to have them demonstrate in our town. His wife is the one who's terrorizing any parent who wants to stand up for their child at school meetings. And guess who's funding it all? The DNC Gillespie County. And they're masking what they're doing by saying it's, concerned parents. We as the parents, who are concerned about the fact that these books being shoved on our kids, they're about explicit sex scenes, sex toys, kids partying and doing drugs with their teachers. And there's always these graphic rape scenes. And it's always the little white boys, or the white boy on the football team, or all the white boys on the football team who are gang raping the victims, the girls in the. So first of all, as a rape victim, I don't want my daughter to grow up with this idea that, every female is a victim. I also don't want my son to grow up in a world where, because of the color of his skin and because he's a man, that he's treated by everybody as if he's a rapist. This is not right. It's propaganda and indoctrination. And we're not saying ban the books. We're saying get them out of our schools. Why do you have to teach kids that it's okay to do drugs with your teachers? It's not okay.
Absolutely.
It is not okay. It never has been okay. And actually, it's still illegal. Still illegal. So why do we have to have books promoting this? This is pervasive on every single level. If you look at what the teachers' unions are doing, if you look at what they're doing on social media, I took myself off Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and these platforms because I discovered when USA Today did an article about how not all pedophiles rape children and not all child rapists are pedophiles. I don't even know what that means. I don't care. You're wrong. It's absolutely unbelievable that we have abdicated our responsibilities to children, and that we are now feel that we have greater responsibilities to pedophiles and to people responsible for criminal behavior than we do to the most vulnerable in our society. I
absolutely, Laura, it's true. They care
for every child.
Absolutely, they care more. They care more about not hurting a trans person's feelings, actually more, they care about that more than the actual child that's being groomed or potentially raped.
Well, one of the saddest parts about all of this is that No, none of these people pushing this political agenda care about the trans people who are caught up in this. This has become very, very militant. There are many gay people, many trans people who are trapped by the political militancy of this moment, who don't share what's being done. And if you look, the Federalist had an amazing article which really, investigated the money behind the trans movement. And the Pritzker family in Illinois, they're one of the worst of all. Why do you have all these people in the medical establishment, the doctors and the therapists, the school counselors? I mean, even within the police and within the school leadership, you have people pushing kids to have trans surgeries. They don't tell them that they're going to be slaves to the medical establishment for the rest of their lives. And that's if everything goes well. They don't, you can see testimony, for example, from a 25-year-old guy. They take flesh from your forearm to try and create male genitals for you that don't actually function. And these surgeries don't always work. I mean, this particular individual was pooping into a plastic bag that's going to be attached to him for God knows how long. Right. And there's other people. There's a wonderful statement by a young woman. Her name is Chloe. And she talked about the pressure her parents were under. Right. Because they were told your options are a dead child, or transgender surgery. And those are not your only options. I mean, the Abigail Schreier's book that they banned, right, that they tried to censor on Amazon and so on. I don't know if you can still find it. She did this 2-year study. I believe it was over 2 years, but the book was very successful. Nobody paid too much attention to it until they realized, wow, how powerful her message was, because she found that 80% of kids with gender dysphoria grow out of it. I've seen it with my own children's friends. We've had little girls who decided they were little boys, then they decided they were insects. And now guess what? They're back to being little girls. And they're very happy that they didn't have their breasts removed, that they weren't chemically castrated, that they didn't have to undergo these terrible, extreme medical interventions that, by the way, what the number one thing that people don't address is it makes these young girls and sometimes the boys infertile, right? It makes them incapable of having babies. So part of this process is irreversible. And it's criminal that you would take people who were troubled and you would offer this to them as a panacea. This is the solution that's going to fix your whole life. I told my daughter once, her and I had a conversation about this, and I said, do you think if you're really troubled and confused, that taking everything about who you are, say you're a girl, and trying to transition that into being a boy, I said, how many trans people do you see after their surgeries who say that this fixed everything? It doesn't fix everything. There's no escaping the problems and the issues in your life. And nobody wants, I don't want a trans person to be a victim. I don't want them to be upset or to be excommunicated from society or to feel they don't have a place or to be discriminated against in any way. I mean, goodness, what kind of person would want that? Why would you wish that on someone? You would never wish that on someone. But stop shoving your politics down our throats. Stop trying to sexualize our children and start protecting children. Because parents everywhere, from every race, from every class, from every city, and from every part of America, they are 100% united in rejecting every single part of this satanic ideology that has its roots in Satan's representative on earth, who is Baphomet. And if people don't believe me, go look it up yourself. Do some homework. Who is Baphomet, the half man, half woman? Go and look at that. That doesn't mean that every trans person is satanic. That's not what I'm saying. Don't put words in my mouth. The truth is that a lot of this political movement is grounded in the very satanic form of Baphomet, who is half man, half woman. And you can see it in the symbolism. Look at the ceremony now to open the Commonwealth Games in Birmingham, where there's the big bull who represents Baal, and it's all satanic. Look at Biden's ridiculous, satanic speech in front of the Red Wall. Look at the opening of the tunnel in Switzerland. Look at what they're doing in CERN. What are they doing, with the looking for the God particle? I mean, these people truly want to ascend to be gods. And what's interesting to me about it, Drew, is I grew up like everybody else, with stars in my eyes for superheroes and Captain America and Marvel Comics and all of that. And then you see Marvel Comics working with Pfizer, to shove these experimental vaccines down our throats. And you start to realize too, when you listen to Yuval Noah Harari, the scientific advisor to the World Economic Forum, and Klaus Schwab and Bill Gates and other lunatics, when you listen to these people, you realize they regard our human frailty as the ultimate weakness. But our human frailty, this life that we have, that has a beginning and it has an end. They never want to die, right? They want to live forever. I don't want to live forever. I've lost my mother. I've lost my father. I've lost people really close to me. I know the pain of death, but I understand that this thing that we have, this human frailty, this human life, we can choose. For example, we have been given this extraordinary gift from God that we can choose to lay down our life for our child or for someone else's child, right? What machine, what AI is ever going to make a choice like that? It'll never mean to a machine what it means to someone like us. So in fact, our human frailty, this thing of death that we fear, this is not something to be feared, right? Because this is how life is. Life is it's about a beginning and a middle and an end. There's no escape for it. It's the great leveler for all of us. We all know that our time is limited. And as painful as that is in one respect, the other part of it is absolutely glorious. I mean, it truly is glorious that we have the ability, if we really want to, we can take this human, our very humanity, and we can sacrifice that for something bigger than ourselves.
Absolutely, especially our children, Laura. And you know, at the top of the show, this is why I said, you guys, like, so when I've called Laura sometimes, and I'm just like sitting there listening for like an hour or two, like, because this is the kind of stuff that I know I needed as a young person, like really hearing this stuff, getting advice. And that's why I wanted to have you on the show. And I'm so thankful that you were able to come on, Laura, and share your wisdom, share your heart, share your insight, and everything that you have to share. Because, you know, I know other people that are kind of sus that want to shut this stuff down for maybe some obvious reasons. I don't know. I think it's because maybe they're involved with some stuff that, you know, maybe they have some skeletons in their closet as well. Laura, unfortunately, we're out of time for today. We're definitely going to bring you back on the show. This is like your show, Laura. It's not my show. It's your show. Because without you, there is none of this. Okay, Laura. So where can people find you, follow you, your socials, all your projects that you have coming up, or can maybe even dive a little deeper with you and all your thoughts?
So I'm relaunching the show that I had on Fox Nation, and it's going to be, I haven't decided which platform yet. As I tell my children, I have great job security. I work for myself, so I can never be fired, but the pay sucks. So it'll definitely be on my website. It'll be on Locals and on Truth Social and on Getter. You know, so far I haven't found that those platforms are participating in trafficking. If I do, I'm going to bail from those platforms too. I'm working with a great group for establishing a co-op that will be no trafficking, no porn, no Satanism, no subversive ideologies, where, you know, I hope that, you know, your show and other people's shows one day will be available on there. And the one thing I want to tell you is the first season of my show is going to be 4 separate hours on different parts of trafficking, because it's time for the whole truth. And those people who are guilty, those people who are complicit, those very, very, very powerful people that want someone like me dead, they need to know that I am not suicidal and I never will be. And they need to know that I don't fear them. I really don't fear them.
No fear.
And I
fear
know that
God
is
and
on my
only
side.
God alone. There it is. Everyone pray for Lara Logan and what she's got going on. Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Drew.
Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, there, you heard it there. I mean, it is not a conspiracy. If you think that the devil is a conspiracy, you are deceived 100%. And if you think that there isn't human trafficking, child trafficking going on, and children being sacrificed in the modern day, that is taking place. Children are literally being manipulated and used by the devil on a daily basis. That has been happening for thousands and thousands of years. Look up Jimmy Savile. Look up Harvey Weinstein. Look at all these people that are being exposed for this very thing. Well, my name is Drew Hernandez. These are the Front Lines, and I'll see you guys on the next one.